good morning to everybody in Dnipro. Dobroho ranku. I hope that sounds reasonably Ukrainian. But thank you for the kind invitation to join you this morning. And in my brief presentation, I will focus on what the European University Association anticipates over the coming 10 years in higher education in Europe and across the globe. We all realize that society is going through rapid change and that change is accelerating. The biggest challenges are well known. Top of the list, environmental sustainability. We have to deal with climate change, while at the same time sustaining economic well-being. And then digitalization and artificial intelligence, particularly affecting the workplace. There are demographic shifts taking place in many countries. Many are seeing declining birth rates or population migration. We also see growing societal polarization, and this is often fueled by misinformation through social media, and this tends to destabilize democratic societies. We see global geopolitical realignments, and these are tending to undermine cooperation when we need global cooperation most. And finally, we have the pandemic, which of course has dramatically accelerated change across the globe. Now, universities have a key role in addressing these challenges, but universities too will have to evolve as quickly as society changes and in many different ways. So during the past year, the EUA consulted our 850 members, some governments, the European Commission, the business and civic sector, and global experts on the question, what must universities do? And we developed a vision for the sector to provide guidance to universities across Europe. We chose the title Universities Without Walls to symbolize the themes of our vision. And the first theme is that universities need to be more open, more transformative, and more transnational. We see our universities without walls, meaning no ivory towers, blended campuses, which combine traditional learning on campus with online learning. We see students learning more in the workplace, experiential learning, and in civic, social, and cultural spaces, with staff moving in both directions between the sectors. We see curriculum design, which will involve much more our societal stakeholders. We see universities that are more deeply embedded in their regions, collaborating with business, with industry and civic society. We see universities as leaders and co-leaders of regional innovation in economic and public policy matters. We see deeply networked universities, collaborating within countries, but equally across borders, and with students, staff, and researchers moving freely between them for joint degrees, for research, and accumulating micro-credentials. And we see these collaborations across borders driving transnational solidarity so that all parts of our continent succeed. A second theme of the vision is that universities will be sustainable and will be diverse. Our overarching goal is to help society to attain the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And sustainable development must dominate all of our university missions in education, research, innovation, and culture. The universities across Europe will also themselves remain diverse in their missions, because that is a strength of Europe. And universities will embrace diversity because our students and our staff must mirror the diversity of society. We do see change in admission delivery. For example, lifelong learning will become the new norm, and it will demand new flexibilities in program delivery and in assessment. And the new model of education that has emerged is one that treats learners as co-creators of knowledge, not as sponges absorbing facts. Research will combine top-down, mission-driven exploration, often set by governments, with curiosity-driven inquiry led by academics. And we see research findings published openly, with research data accessible in repositories. And this transparency will help restore trust in science and in evidence and in expertise. Third theme, of course, is that universities, to be successful, must be autonomous and accountable. Unless we remain firmly grounded in our academic core values, we will not be successful. An institutional autonomy is fundamental to a strong university system, with academic freedom remaining essential to institutional and individual academic success. But equally, universities must be accountable to society through appropriate national governance structures and by involving external society always in internal governance. That will grow a sense of ownership of the sector by society at large. We cannot succeed on our own, and to achieve these goals, universities must enjoy the support of governments in a number of ways. Firstly, the national regulatory frameworks must provide the right balance between accountability and autonomy. EUA Autonomy Scorecard, which may be known to you, has revealed that the best performing university systems in Europe enjoy the greatest degree of freedom to manage their own affairs. National performance contracts between the state and universities are becoming common, and they're a useful accountability toolkit if they're negotiated through meaningful dialogue. And while academic freedom is often guaranteed in law, we have to be wary in the coming years of covert forms of infringement through performance contracts with the state that are too prescriptive, or policies that focus too much on mission-driven research at the expense of researcher-initiated inquiry. We, in Western Europe, have the view that the European Union can help us by challenging the different national barriers that impede collaboration, that impede mobility, or impede mutual recognition of prior learning. Innovation, growth, and performance will require dedicated and substantial investment. And our observatory, our funding observatory at EUA, reveals enormous gaps between countries in public investment across Europe. Some recovered very well from the financial crisis, others have still to return to pre-crisis levels. And we must remember that without resources, universities will not compete, universities will not collaborate successfully in the coming decades, because countries will only be as successful as their universities will be. The pandemic has shown that national investments in digital infrastructure and in green transport will also be critical to implementing our vision for Europe's universities. My final point relates to what universities ourselves can do, and that will matter greatly. Firstly, each university's plans must align with the university's vision, Universities Without Walls. Secondly, strong, competent university leadership is essential, and academic leadership appointments must value competence over popularity, and institutional management needs to be professionalized more. We also know that university governing boards should include international academic peers and leaders in local society. So we must work to build more trust in universities so that society will invest more in us. And lastly, we must reform our academic career assessment to value all parts of the university mission equitably and not just research performance. Unless our performance incentives within the university community are aligned with our strategic goals, then the vision will not become real. So my colleagues in Dnipro, most of what I have said is not radical, and many universities in Europe are well on this path. And I wish Альфреда Нобеля University and all its partners in Ukraine every success in embracing these changes in the coming years. And I thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much.